Arkansas, July 1944. The morning sun bleeds across the horizon, gilding the sprawling cotton fields with gold. Dew clings to the tall stalks, cold and sharp against bare feet, while the distant hum of cicadas fills the heavy, humid air. A truck rattles along the dusty road, kicking up clouds that swirl in lazy spirals around the newcomer's boots. Inside the truck, 32 German prisoners of war sit shoulder to shoulder, their uniforms stiff and grimy from months in European campaigns. They were told America was a land of monsters, of men with hearts as cold as the steel they wielded. They expected interrogations, harsh punishment, cruelty. Instead, they find a landscape unscarred by combat, a quiet stillness punctuated only by birdsong and the distant bark of a farm dog. This cannot be real, mutters Klaus Miller, a lanky corporal with a crooked smile that rarely reaches his eyes. His gaze sweeps over the fields, the wooden fences, the white clapboard houses dotting the horizon. They said America would be hell. Instead, it is this. Beside him, Friedrich's hand shifts uneasily. "Wir werden sehen, we will see," he murmurs, yet even his voice trembles with disbelief. The truck jolts over a rut and a puff of dust rises, settling in the prisoners' hair and on their sunburned necks. The guards, young men barely older than the POWs themselves, exchange grins instead of glares. "Nearly there," one calls. His tone is casual, almost friendly, and the words sting more than any bullet could have. They are brought to a small, fenced-in camp, a place that at first glance seems more like a rural boarding school than a prison. Laundry flaps lazily on the line. The scent of frying food drifts from the mess hall. Already, the prisoners notice small, shocking details. Chairs on porches, smiles instead of snarls, food portions generous enough to satisfy hunger rather than punish it. They had expected suffering, humiliation, fear. Instead, they are met with pillows on their bunks, clean sheets, and a strange, unspoken dignity. Klaus whispers under his breath as he steps down from the truck, eyes scanning the orderly camp. "I expected to be shot. Instead, I am given a pillow." This is the fragile, tender true story of German soldiers in America, of hearts opening, prejudices cracking, and the first bite of fried chicken that would shatter everything they thought they knew. Germany, early 1944. The radio crackles in the dimly lit barracks, spewing the endless, insistent propaganda of the Reich. Headlines scream of Allied brutality, of Americans as decadent, cruel, and unfeeling. "Die Amerikaner sind Bestien," the Americans are beasts, the posters warn. Every young soldier, from the farms of Bavaria to the industrial cities of the Ruhr, grows up believing in this unyielding narrative. Klaus Miller remembers the speeches. "They will not stop. They will burn your villages. They will take your families. You must fight or all is lost." He recalls nodding along, swallowing the fear and fury, clutching his rifle as if it were the only proof of truth. By the time Klaus and his comrades, Friedrich Hahn, Otto Wöhrer, and dozens of others, are captured in the rolling chaos of Normandy, their minds are steeped in certainty. They have seen death, they have heard screams, they have fought until the air smelled of iron and fear. And now, bound and shackled, they are shipped across the Atlantic, believing they are headed straight into another nightmare. The voyage itself is a study in tension. The Liberty ship groans and creaks as it cuts through the Atlantic waves. Below deck, POWs huddle on narrow wooden benches, the smell of unwashed bodies and diesel oil thick in the air. Conversations are cautious, whispers laced with apprehension. "Ich will nicht sterben in Amerika. I do not want to die in America," mutters Otto, his eyes wide, tracing the dark, shaking outline of the ship's hull against the moonlit water. The guards, aware of their prisoners' fears, maintain a strict but surprisingly measured discipline. The men are fed, allowed brief stretches on deck, but always under watchful eyes. Each day stretches endlessly, the ocean a vast, indifferent barrier between expectation and reality. Even here, small contradictions chip away at the narrative they've been taught. A young American sailor smiles while serving a steaming plate of beans. A guard hands a man a towel with an almost casual courtesy. These acts are so minor, so unremarkable in context, yet to men who have been trained to expect cruelty, they feel like miracles. As the coastline approaches, as the first faint smell of pine and fresh water reaches them, the prisoners cannot yet name what they feel: relief, suspicion, disbelief. They are certain of one thing: the worst is yet to come. And yet, unbeknownst to them, the reality waiting on American soil will challenge everything they have learned. It will confront them with kindness, with dignity, with the strange, disarming taste of humanity they have been taught to despise. Arkansas, July 1944. The truck comes to a halt in front of the camp gates. The POWs are led down the ramp, their boots crunching against the gravel, ears ringing with the distant crowing of a rooster. The sun hangs heavy in the sky, casting a golden haze over the neatly painted barracks. The air smells of fresh hay, sun-warmed wood, and something strange, frying fat, sweet and savory, drifting from the mess hall. The prisoners pause. Their guards, young men with freckles and easy smiles, nod politely. No shouts, no chains rattling, no barking orders, just a calm, almost casual welcome. "Welcome to Camp Monticello," says Corporal James Peterson, his voice carrying a faint southern lilt. "Hope you're hungry." Klaus Miller steps forward cautiously. His throat is tight. He expected anger, suspicion, perhaps even humiliation. Instead, he sees chairs on porches, women walking past with laundry baskets, and children laughing. His mind races. This is not real. Friedrich, always the skeptic, watches silently. He notes the orderly lines of bunks inside the mess hall, the polished floors, the clean white tablecloths. "We were told," he mutters, "we were told they would treat us like animals." Yet here, a soldier hands him a plate with a warm smile. The first meal is served. The aroma hits like a revelation: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, golden gravy, sweet corn dripping with butter. Otto Verrer, whose hands have trembled with fear since capture, hesitates, fork hovering above the plate. He tastes it, crispy skin yielding to tender meat, flavors vibrant, utterly unfamiliar. "Kartoffeln und Hühnchen. This is amazing," he whispers to no one in particular, eyes wide. Across the room, other POWs exchange wary glances. Some laugh nervously, some sit in stunned silence. Conversations are halting, broken by accents and disbelief. "Ich dacht, I thought they would hate us," says Klaus under his breath. "Instead, they feed us." Even outside the mess hall, the camp hums with an unexpected normalcy. Children play catch near the fences. Farmers pass by with wagons, tipping hats and nodding. There is no hostility, no reminders of war, only the quiet rhythm of daily life, gentle and unthreatening. In that moment, the prisoners feel the first cracks in their indoctrination. Everything they have been told about America, about these people, begins to shatter, not with force, but with the quiet insistence of decency. Klaus presses a hand to his chest. "I expected to be starved. I expected to be shouted at. Instead, I am offered fried chicken." And in that simple, extraordinary act, the journey begins. The slow, fragile unraveling of fear, prejudice, and hatred. Inside the camp, the prisoners are guided through the processing buildings. The walls are painted a soft cream, sunlight spilling through tall windows onto polished floors. Each man is measured, catalogued, and assigned a bunk. Klaus Miller notices the neatness: the bunks made with crisp sheets, the pillows fluffed as if in anticipation of comfort rather than punishment. This is impossible, he thinks. Nothing in the Reich prepares you for this. The first meal in the mess hall becomes a quiet revelation. Plates clink on tables. The smell of roasting chicken mingles with fresh bread and butter. Cornbread crumbs cling to the sleeves of Friedrich's hand as he bites cautiously, savoring the sweetness. Otto Verrer studies his plate as though it were a foreign map: mashed potatoes, gravy pooling like amber rivers, a slice of roasted chicken glistening under the fluorescent lights. "Smoke them if you got them," jokes one of the guards, nodding toward a bowl of apples. Laughter bubbles quietly from the men, a mixture of disbelief and delight. Daily routines are precise but humane. The prisoners rise with the sun, sweep the barracks, and report for roll call under the shaded porches rather than harsh drills. Guards interact with them respectfully, offering guidance rather than intimidation. Small acts, an extra blanket, a word of encouragement, become monumental in their minds. Medical care is another surprise. Klaus watches a fellow POW limp toward the infirmary, expecting scolding or neglect. Instead, a nurse greets him warmly, bandages his wound, and offers advice on recovery. "We're Haben Erwartet Qual, we expected suffering," he says quietly to himself. "Instead, help." Even the mundane becomes a study in contrast. Laundry lines stretch across the yard, the sun bleaching clothes in orderly patterns. POWs learn to fold their uniforms with precision, each crease a reminder of order without oppression. Exercise consists of gentle calisthenics or walks in the shade of towering oaks. There is discipline, yes, but tempered with decency. In quiet corners, the men whisper among themselves. "Everything we believed, shattered by kindness," Friedrich murmurs. "We expected cruelty, and we were given respect." Klaus watches him, eyes scanning the neatly painted barracks and the murmuring men, and wonders how long it will take for these small, unassuming truths to sink in. In these first days, the prisoners begin to recognize the strange, disarming rhythm of camp life. Fear still lingers like a shadow, but it is tempered by curiosity, by disbelief, and by a growing sense that perhaps they have arrived somewhere unexpectedly humane. The prisoners are assigned to work details across the surrounding countryside. Klaus Miller and Friedrich find themselves on a sprawling cotton farm, the soil soft under their hands, sun warming their backs. The scent of earth, freshly turned and sweet with humidity, fills the air. They expected backbreaking labor under watchful eyes, punishments for missteps, or insults from guards. Instead, the farmer greets them with a firm handshake. "Mornin'. Let's see what you can do today," he says with a friendly grin. The work is strenuous yet strangely satisfying. As they bend to plant rows of cotton, the rhythm of labor becomes meditative. Birds dart overhead, the distant river sparkles under the midday sun. Friedrich pauses, wiping sweat from his brow. This is not war," he says quietly, astonished. "It is work, honest work." American civilians visit the fields, children waving from wagons, women offering cool water in tin cups. Small gestures of humanity, once unimaginable, leave deep impressions. Otto Wurrer recalls a young girl slipping him a slice of pie, whispering, "Eat up, sir, you look hungry." He bites, tasting sweet apples and cinnamon, the flavor a revelation. "I never imagined such kindness," he admits. Language is a barrier, but laughter bridges the gap. Mispronounced words, gestures, and shared smiles create unexpected camaraderie. They learn about American customs, Sunday church bells, picnics by the river, the pride in homemade quilts. Even music surprises them, ragtime and country melodies drifting from radios, the rhythm infectious, drawing tentative dance steps from the men during rare breaks. Meals in the field, cornbread, roasted chicken, buttered vegetables, become moments of connection. "In Deutschland, food is functional," Klaus remarks. "Here it is an offering." Small acts of trust and kindness punctuate their days. A farmer lending a book in broken German, a guard pausing to ask if they need more water, a family inviting them to watch a baseball game from the porch. Each moment chips away at the fears and prejudices instilled since youth. Yet beneath these experiences lies a quiet tension. They are still prisoners, reminded of their status through boundaries and rules. The cognitive dissonance grows. Their indoctrination insists Americans are cruel, yet every encounter contradicts this belief. Otto Wurrer observes children laughing freely while he bends over the soil. "We were told enemies of humanity," he mutters. "And yet, here they are." By the end of each day, the prisoners return to camp weary, sunburned, and thoughtful. They carry with them not just aching muscles, but the quiet, unsettling realization that life and kindness, exists even on the other side of enemy lines. Evenings in Camp Monticello carry a gentle calm. The sun dips behind the oaks, painting the sky in shades of rose and amber. The prisoners gather on porches or in quiet corners of the mess hall, sharing meals, stories, and cigarettes. It is here, in these unguarded moments, that transformation begins. Klaus Miller passes a slice of apple pie to Friedrich's hand. "We were told they hate us," he says softly, "and yet they feed us, they talk to us, they smile at us." Friedrich nods, swallowing the last bite of pie. "I never imagined such humanity," he murmurs, eyes reflecting the dying light. Small gifts and gestures accumulate, breaking down the invisible walls of prejudice. A farmer's wife knots handkerchiefs for the men. A guard brings news from the nearby town. A child tugs Klaus's sleeve, offering a homemade wooden toy. Each act is a quiet defiance of their indoctrination, a reminder that dignity and kindness are not exclusive to one nation or creed. Education and conversation deepen the shift. German POWs attend informal classes on civics, geography, and English, learning not just language but the realities of the world they were taught to despise. Discussions about inequality, segregation, and democracy challenge their preconceptions. "Everything I believed crumbles," Otto Wöhrer confides one evening, staring into his plate of fried chicken, golden and crisp. "And yet it feels right." Moments of shared laughter, quiet reflection, and the first taste of fried chicken, a simple, warm, unexpected delight, become symbolic of a larger awakening. Minds rigid with fear and propaganda soften. Hearts begin to recognize common humanity, and even small acts, a smile, a meal, a gift, become revolutionary. By the time the sun rises over the camp, the prisoners are no longer the same men who arrived weeks before. Their journey is one of quiet revelation, of bridges built across fear and indoctrination, of prejudice replaced by understanding. And in that transformation lies the heart of their story, that even in war, kindness can pierce the hardest armor, and fried chicken, crispy, golden, unexpected, can break more than hunger. It can break hearts and open them to hope.